More bad news on the way too, with the revelation that the natural weather event known as El Niño has begun in the Pacific Ocean. Experts say it will likely make 2024 the hottest year. Let's bring in Alexander Verbeek. For more on this, he joins us from Ottawa in Canada. Alexander is an environmentalist. Alexander, little doubt that this is going to have a big contribution to overall global warming. How likely is it that it will take us past that key milestone of 1.5 degrees?
Well, that might happen in the next 5 years or so. Maybe next year, I think that is unlikely. But that milestone of 1.5 degrees is not like that you hit it just 1 year or so. It's an overall trend in the long term. That we will, I fear we will reach that as well. But you can't say if we have really one hot year like we had 2016, which is above the 1.5 degrees, that at that moment that we have broken what we agreed, all of us together in Paris at the COP21 in 2015.
Yeah, and just tell us a little bit more about how El Nino works and how it appears to affect different parts of the world in different ways. We understand there will be droughts in Australia, rains in the southern US, and it will affect the Indian monsoon as well. Why does it have such contrasting effects in different parts of the world?
Yeah, it is, as you just said, it is a natural phenomenon. El Nino and the counterpart La Niña have always been there. They were already known to the people even before the Spanish people arrived on the Pacific coast of Peru. And what happens there, and that is the spot where you can see it most at the first moment, is that the trade winds that normally blow west and blow all the warm water towards the western side of the Pacific, they become more temperate or might even turn around. So you get warm water moving towards, let's say, the coastline of Peru. That influences the whole weather pattern in the world. So the Pacific jet stream, which controls a lot of the weather in the world, will come more south. So what does that mean? That, for instance, California, that desperately needs more water, will most likely next year receive much more rain. And you will also see more rain on the American Gulf Coast or the east side of South America. But in most parts of the world, you will see less rain. As you mentioned, Australia, the whole Western Pacific, India, where the monsoon will be less powerful, so less water in India, South Africa as well. And roughly you could say in the world it will get warmer. Well, add to that the non-natural phenomenon of climate change, which is caused by us. 2024 seems likely to become a record breaker in heat, which you will see in the news, and you will likely ask me or my colleagues back a lot of times next year, because we are going to see a lot of disasters with droughts or moments with extreme rain. We will see a lot of extra human suffering. We will see a lot of financial damage extra in the world. El Nino is an expensive and scary event, and we are now sure that it will happen. We don't know yet how strong it will be. It can be a normal strong El Nino or very strong, and for a very strong El Nino, chances are now more than 50% that it might be a very strong one. This is a very scary prediction by the best experts in the world. We should brace ourselves for that.
And Alexander, we know that you're in Canada, in Ottawa, and we know exactly about the issues going on there with the wildfires and the trouble it's causing. That will focus people's minds, you would hope, on the bigger issue of climate change. And I wanted to ask you, when it comes to El Nino, I mean, how concerned are you that people might say, well, this is a naturally occurring phenomenon, so there's not really much we can do about it, and they may well avert their gaze from the bigger issue?
Yeah, unfortunately, climate change is not dying out, and nor are the climate deniers. I see now some politicians in south of us in the United States coming with the reflex we know from the mass shootings, saying this is not the moment to politicize the smoke as climate change. But this is exactly what we are talking about. We had in 2022 the highest emissions ever. So we still haven't learned our lesson. I mean, how much more orange do you want to see New York before we are actually really taking action? We have to reduce emissions because, I mean, you might call me an alarmist, but look at a city like New York. Look at out of my own window here, where briefly we have a bit of normal color at the moment. How much more alarms do we need to see until we are really taking the action that is required to safeguard our planet? We know how to do it. We can finance it. We have the technology. We only lack the political will to take the right steps to do so.
Alexander, thank you very much indeed. Pleasure speaking to you on the News Hour.
Thank you.